Now, these guys here, the ancient Egyptians, who I'm sure you'll know built these things here and lots of other structures as well, only used unit fractions in their mathematical work, and yet they did some very advanced mathematical work. The pyramids themselves are an example of this. Modern scanners have shown that some of the dimensions are out by only a few centimeters from a perfect geometric shape, which is remarkable when you think of the size of them and the technology available. Now, here's a number line, and we're just going to look at this section of number line that goes from 0 to 1. Clearly a half is exactly in the middle. Then we've got some other unit fractions, like a third and a quarter, and so on. And there's obviously 1 over all sorts of big numbers in this gap here. However, you can note that there is clearly a gap between a half and a third, and a big gap between a half and 1, where there are no unit fractions. So how do we go about something like 2/3? 2/3 is not a unit fraction, but they must have had a need for its use. Well, what they did with any other type of fraction is they wrote it as a sum of unit fractions. Now it may seem to you and I that 2/3 is clearly equal to 1/3 plus 1/3, and that's a sum of unit fractions, but they didn't do it that way. They used another sum to give us 2/3. Now remember, these guys here built these things here, but of course they didn't just spring up overnight. There was a lot of work went into building these, and yes, they had a lot of slave labor and all that sort of stuff, but even with the vast workforce they had, it still takes a long time. So what problems does that bring? Well, first of all, you've got to accommodate the people that are working, and secondly, you've got to feed them. And given the large workforce and the long amount of time, that's a lot of pizza that you need to have delivered. But of course, Domino's didn't actually open till 1960. So let's think about how they did that.